Welcome to the Black Column Podcast. I am here with my co-host Shannon. I am Jabia, aka the Crew Philosopher. Shannon, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Can't complain. What about you?
It's been whatever.
Okay. Well, I don't know is that bad or is that good?
That's the same thing, different day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Life doesn't change that much in the middle of a pandemic because you can't go nowhere. So, kind of just, waiting for that vaccine like the rest of the country.
Are you waiting for the vaccine? I'm not waiting for the vaccine.
I'm not waiting for the vaccine to take it. Let's be clear. I'm waiting for the vaccine for y'all to take it so that I can go back to
I'm not taking any vaccine. Okay.
Not us, but the public. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you were so against it, Shannon. You get the flu shot every year.
Yeah, but the flu shot has been widely tested. This is a new vaccine, which they rushed out in a matter of months. So no, I do not really trust it.
First of all, the flu shot has not been widely tested. The flu shot is changed every year. Matter of fact,
okay, but still based off of an original formula that they created. It's not brand new, thrown together in a matter of months, where they really haven't had time to have long-term testing is what I mean.
Totally agree with you there. And that's why I am very, very skeptical. And we'll be sitting back. Look, if I get the vaccine, it'll be 3 months after y'all get it.
Okay.
I get to watch, see if people turn colors, whatever happens, then I'll take it.
They turn into monsters.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm watching for.
That's what I'm worried about.
Okay, so here we go. So Shannon wanted to talk about therapy today. Specifically, she wanted to talk about her premise, which is how therapy is stigmatized in Black communities. Now, I agree with her on her premise, but I think our visions for Black Americans' relationships with therapy, it differs, I think.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about this because I think it's a very important topic. I was having a conversation with my parents the other day, and I was telling them about this topic. And what else? I was talking about how everyone could benefit from therapy, and my dad was kind of just like, what do I need to go to therapy for? And this is exactly the issue that I am talking about. How therapy is viewed by the African American population, and more specifically, not millennials per se, but more so by boomers and Gen, is it X or Z? I get confused by this all the time.
I think it's Gen X.
Okay. More specifically, how therapy and mental health is viewed by Black people, by Black boomers and Gen X individuals. Was I right?
Yeah, Gen X.
Gen X?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gen X. Okay, so your premise, I understand, Shannon. I agree that there is a stigma to therapy, to seeking out mental health services, etc. But where I disagree with you, I'm with your dad on this one. Everyone doesn't need therapy. I don't believe. I believe everyone needs what you get from therapy. Now, that sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. No, here's what I'm saying. When you go to therapy, you are allowed to speak about certain topics that you normally will never, stumble upon in your day-to-day conversation because they're deep, they're personal. You get to speak to somebody about those things in a safe environment. Oftentimes, especially if you're doing therapy within an office, the office is set up in such a way in which it is conducive to such conversations. And you have legal protections for the most part, although those are slowly crumbling away, where you are assured that probably 95 to 98% of what you talk about in this room won't be discussed with anybody else. That's what people need. Yes. People need to be able to talk to people in a judgment-free zone about things that happened to them growing up that otherwise would never come out. That is different than saying everybody needs therapy.
Well, I didn't say that everyone, not need, like everyone has like an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. But I do believe that everyone in society, yes, can benefit from therapy. And I think that, like you said, talking to someone who is impartial
Mm-hmm.
and who can give you advice that you maybe wouldn't have been able to seek out by yourself
Mm-hmm.
is very beneficial, I think, to all aspects of life. Not saying that everyone needs to go, but I'm just saying that I do believe that everyone can benefit from it. I'm not saying that you have to go.
Okay, so that is a interesting argument. I think I agree that therapy is probably a plus for everyone across the board.
Yes.
But I mean, to say that statement is not really helping anybody, right? Like, that something that's like saying uh exercising is good for everyone. That is different than saying everyone needs to exercise. See what I'm saying?
Well, I don't believe that everyone needs to go to therapy. I believe that it is beneficial, but I just want to talk about why it's stigmatized so much in the Black community, which I find that it is.
Okay, so give me your reasoning to why you think it's stigmatized.
I just think that the millennial generation has had a harder time coming to terms with maybe their need to go to therapy. Like, if you're feeling anxious and depressed and you feel like there's a lot going on in your life and you feel like you want to talk to somebody, I feel like in years prior, the millennial generation has had a harder time coming to terms with the fact that maybe they want to go to therapy just because of
But the millennials?
Yeah, millennials, because of how our parents, boomers and Gen X,
okay.
have kind of stigmatized therapy in a way where if you want to go to therapy, then there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? I feel like that is what the issue is.
Okay, so I agree, but I do think we have to cut our parents and grandparents some slack, right? I think sometimes we have these generational conversations and it paints our parents and grandparents in like a bad light. For example, I don't agree with spanking. I don't. I was spanked. I don't think my parents got pleasure beating my ass. I don't think so, right? Okay. So, but oftentimes when we talk about spanking and the need for it to stop, we almost speak about it as if our parents were like these evil, wicked people who wanted to just beat their children. No, there's some cultural reasons behind that. There were some religious reasons behind those practices. The same thing is true for therapy. So I agree with you that millennials today, some of us are less likely to go to therapy because of attitudes that our parents and grandparents had. But could it be, Shannon, that they had those attitudes because of real examples where sending Black people to doctors didn't always end the right way?
Yes.
So,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I understand. It comes from a lack of faith and trust in our medical system.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. I cannot argue with you there. I can't argue with you there. I mean, that is the case. That is the case in some cases. That is true, but in other cases, it's more. I feel like it can also be said that it's more of like believing that you're not as strong a person, or especially like for men specifically. Oh, that's not a manly thing to do. Like man up type of thing. That I feel like is the attitude of not all of our parents and grandparents, but I would say that a large portion of people can relate to that, can relate to their parents or grandparents having had said that to them.
Okay, so question. Do you believe that Black men today are stronger or weaker than their fathers and forefathers?
That's a hard question. I don't think that don't put me on that kind of spot. What do you think, Jabia?
No, I'm just saying, like,
what do you
because
think? I believe that we're stronger in different ways. I think that having that kind of access to your emotions and things that maybe our fathers and grandfathers kind of like push down. I feel like that can be said to make you a stronger person.
Okay.
Dealing with your emotions and knowing that they're there and finding a way to constructively handle them, I would say makes you stronger than pretending that, or like saying that you're not allowed to have emotions.
So, audience, that was a long-winded answer, not answering my question.
It did.
No, do you believe Black men today are stronger or weaker than their forefathers?
I would say I guess I didn't answer the question. Yes, I do.
So you believe Black men today are stronger than their forefathers? All right. I disagree.
I know you do. I do know that you were waiting for me to say that so that you could say it.
I think Black men today are embarrassing compared to their forefathers. I do.
How so?
Number one, given the conditions that our fathers and forefathers lived in as black men,
Mm-hmm.
for them to be able to not only survive, but in certain cases thrive. When you look at, certain black communities and how efficient and functional they were in the midst of the Jim Crow South, the Black Wall Street, the various communities across the country.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. That's a good
To
point.
be able to be self-sufficient in such a way when the world was giving you more shit than today, like black men back then dealt with significantly more than black men today do. I'm not sure that if that's debatable.
That's true. I wasn't debating that.
I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, given that fact that they were able to have successful communities, oftentimes being architects in their communities in ways in which they aren't now, I think that shows the quality of men today is a shadow of what it once was. Now, there are different reasons behind that.
Yes,
but
I was
that's
going
what
to
I believe.
say, okay, yes. So I would say that the circumstances of the time probably did build more character because, yes, I agree. But you can't really blame the men of today for that because I guess yes. Okay.
No, you can't blame them.
I do understand your point. I understand the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah, and given that fact though, so if I could see that men today, or if I believe that men today are weaker than their forefathers, if you're like a 40, 50-year-old black man, 67-year-old black man, and you look at the men today, I would assume you kind of have a unfavorable view of them. Like, you guys are out here, marching and complaining, asking for the white man to give you a job. This is this Farrakhan clip that makes me laugh whenever I see it because he's making fun of, your people, black men of today, marching and crying about racism. And his Farrakhan's point was, build your own factory, hire the people you want to hire. Do for yourself. Why are you guys constantly out there begging the white man to do for you what you should be doing for yourself? I think that's a valid point. But so just back to my original point, if I feel this way about black men today, I know for a fact that, older black men feel that today's black man is not as strong as they were. So Shannon, could it be that men today need more therapy because they're naturally less resilient? That's the question.
By the way, that's a leading question. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if you can contribute needing therapy because to being less resilient. I don't know if those two things.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'll get you.
I don't know if those two things match up. Are men today less resilient than our fathers and grandparents? I will agree with you on there. I will agree with you on that, but I am not saying that is the reason why they need therapy.
Okay.
I'm not saying that at all. There are a number of reasons why the millennial generation might need therapy.
Such as?
So I was reading earlier in a study that 17%, and I'm talking about millennials as a whole, not just black, just black millennials. 17% of millennials are depressed, 14% have anxiety. And that is mainly because of something about, hold on, let me look at these notes so I don't misquote the article.
Shannon trying to be responsible. Go ahead, girl.
So I guess because we have, in this time period, we have more decisions to make. Things are harder. The recession in 2008 makes it harder to find a job. Student loan debt. What else? I'm scrambling. I have terrible handwriting, by the way.
Those are probably the big ones.
Rising cost of living. Yes, there we go.
Okay, so we have rising cost of living. We have
student
loan debt, and abundance of choices that previous generations didn't have.
Yeah.
Lack of jobs, lack of opportunity. I would throw in there as well. Okay, so I agree with you that things today are hectic. Like, so if you had to boil all of that down to what you would say is that life today moves significantly faster than it did 20, 30 years ago, right? And so because life moves so fast, it creates this anxiety, about where's my future headed? You know,
Mhm.
what's going on? In some cases, am I going to have a job next month? Like,
Yeah.
things are happening that fast. So I agree with you. But you're kind of making my point. Originally, Shannon, when we talked about this, I told you that therapy to me is like the Band-Aid, right? And so
Mhm.
you're trying to send a bunch of people to therapists, right? To give them money to therapists to help them be less anxious and less depressed. When, according to you and that study, we have a cultural problem, a societal problem. No one wants to address the societal issue. They just want to get you well enough to continue to be the cog in this unhealthy society. What I want to do is make the society healthier. That's why I
Well,
think therapy is
well,
kind of,
yes.
you know,
Well, yes, obviously the society needs to become healthier, and these things that are making us anxious, of course, there needs to be an overall solution to them so that life can be better.
mhm,
But in the meantime, and I'm not denying what you're saying, therapy is a band-aid. It's a way, it's a coping mechanism to help you move through life without having a breakdown essentially every day because of all the things that are happening. Not saying that it's not that, it is.
mhm.
But I'm just saying while things are happening and while people are striving to work and like hopefully make a better society where we maybe won't have these problems, I feel like it is helpful to
To
have
go
a
to
band-aid
therapy.
to kind of like so you can move through that better.
I don't disagree, but I think some of the conversation, because I'm hearing a lot of the pro therapy conversation all the time now. Maybe it's the people that I follow or my personal friend group that is not reflective of the average Black American. But I feel like I'm
Mhm.
hearing about therapy and mental health all the time now,
Yeah,
all the
definitely.
time, and that's what has
All the
me
time. Yeah.
worried because I feel like it is it's like talk. It's going to sound crazy. I think it's being discussed too
Oh
much.
God.
I do
Too much.
because Shannon, no one is talking about the society.
I mean, yes, I understand that, but like coming from a time where like mental health was rarely talked about and mental health is an issue, and like coming from a time where that was really talked about or coming from a
Mm-hmm.
time where that was viewed as such a negative thing to now being able to openly talk about mental health issues, I think that's I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great.
I don't know, man. I don't. Let me give you a scenario where I think you might be tempted to agree with me a little bit.
Okay.
ADD,
Mhm.
ADHD,
Mhm.
right? I think it's what attention uh hyperactive deficit something, whatever.
Disorder, yeah. Mhm.
Black boys in particular,
Mhm.
are getting diagnosed at insane rates for having this thing, ADD
Mhm.
and ADHD. No one is asking the question that I would ask, which is
Why?
why?
Okay.
People are just going along with the diagnosis. I want to know why, number one. Number two, what counts as hyperactive? Like,
Okay.
if I can't sit still in the classroom, is that evidence that I'm hyperactive or that I'm bored or that I just have more energy than other boys do?
Mhm.
Does that necessarily mean something is wrong with me? Most of this, a lot of this mental health stuff is not an exact science. So it's not like I have diabetes. I go to the doctor, they do some tests, and they can tell that I'm not, my body isn't releasing insulin or my blood sugar levels are of someone who has diabetes. There's no exact science to deciphering if someone is depressed or
Mhm.
has anxiety or ADHD or various other things. So, Shannon, my question to you is, how can we be sure that what we're calling mental illness might not just be different personality types? A different, different standards of behavior.
Well, that is a good point, and I can't really speak to how the diagnosing process works. But I'm sure that people do get misdiagnosed as well. But I can't really speak to that
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really know. But
No,
I
I
can, I
totally get
can,
it.
I can. Oops, sorry, I can agree with you that there is probably a high amount of misdiagnoses. Sorry, I pulled my earring out. I'm putting it back
I
in.
get it. Yeah, Shannon, she has to be gorgeous when she does this. so she could take all the attention from my friends. But hold on.
Oh my God.
Wait. But here's the thing, Shannon. I can't speak to what goes into the diagnosis process either. I can't. I'm just saying, how come no one is asking? You ever sit back and wonder how come no one's asking these questions?
Yes.
Like the other day, I'm in my house and I'm like, yo, given the rate in which technology has like, expanded, right? We are now in the age of 5G. You ever wonder how no one asked the questions about like what are all these invisible wireless signals doing to like human beings?
I wonder that all the time.
No, me and you. I'm asking how
okay.
people more important than us
okay.
aren't asking these questions. I don't see them being asked anywhere. So when it comes to therapy, I'm asking the question, okay, well, how do we decide what makes someone more hyperactive than somebody else? Can't he just have more energy? Maybe he just can't sit down for 8 hours a day, and take notes in the classroom. He might just be more active and need to get up and walk around. Who knows? No one's asking these questions. To your point about how you feel like it's a good thing that Black people came from a time which we didn't talk too much about mental health to now, I feel like we talk about it too much.
Sorry.
Oh, that scared me. Is it possible, Shannon, that therapy is not the answer we actually need to, if people are suffering from depression and anxiety, maybe we're trying to heal them thinking that they have something wrong with their mental faculties. What if there's a deeper issue? This is also the generation that is the least religious. This is also the generation that feels less sense of community as well. We're more on our devices.
That. I can understand that.
So what if people are anxious, people are depressed because they feel less connected? Families are actually smaller now than they ever were in human history. Before you have a house full of 6, 7 people. Then it went down to 4 or 5. Now I think it's down to like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
These are just things I think we need to consider before we start telling everybody, hey, you know what, go ahead and give these therapists all your money.
Yeah. But that's also an issue really of therapy needing to be more widely accessible, I think, because it is insanely expensive. And I feel like a lot of people also don't have access to it. This is not even on your point. This is branching off.
Totally get it. I think things suck. Free things suck, though.
I know free things suck. I'm not saying it should be free, but I feel like it should be more widely accessible. It is very expensive. And I feel like that makes it hard, especially if people really actually do need to go to therapy. I feel like it's hard to do that when it costs hundreds of dollars a session to go to therapy. I just think that it should be more widely accessible.
But how do you make it? Okay, so how do you make it more widely accessible?
I don't really know how to make it. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did. I wish I did, but I don't have the answer. Okay. But like, I would.
No, I was gonna say that the only way you can make therapy more widely accessible without I don't know, like cheapening the product. That's a horrible phrasing, but you get what I mean. Would be to increase like group therapy sessions. So like the ways people do like AA, do a type of therapy session that way, but then will it be as effective? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea.
I do think that therapy should be accessible in schools. I think that. I mean, I guess maybe that's what guidance counselors are for, to an extent.
I don't know. Because
but not really.
No, I'm saying I don't think so. Because whenever I try to talk to what's that dude's name?
I don't think we should be naming names. just say the guidance counselor.
Fern?
I don't remember.
I think his name was Fern. His name was Fern.
But here, you see, I'm telling Jabia not to name any names, but here he is anyway. Okay.
No, he needs to be. Whenever I try to talk to Fern or whatever his name is.
Are you sure that was his name? Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Fern. I'm talking about the small dude. Whoever he was. When I try to talk to him, he would never answer like questions about like things that were not school or like college related.
Okay.
Was it Vern?
Well, he was a college guidance counselor.
No, that was that other woman. Remember?
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
That was
Let me
her.
not name names. Yes. Okay.
That was her.
Yes.
that wasn't the other guy. So I'm with you there. Maybe we should have therapists in school talk to the students. But do you worry? Okay. So we make therapy widely accessible, or very least a therapist inside of every public school.
Yep.
Bare minimum. Do you worry though this will increase the broken home problem because you don't know what children are going to say in a therapy session, right?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Or it does not matter. Meaning, if the child does say something that leads, CPS to somebody's house, then CPS should be at that household.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really because a lot of children do come from abusive and rough home situations that, I mean, a lot of the times they go on about their day and then they go back to the situation every day and you don't know what that's doing to them internally. So I feel like if they had an outlet or a way to talk about these things, I mean, if it does bring up that kind of situation, I mean, I feel like it needs to happen. I don't think it's okay for children to be in abusive home situations and having to deal with the burden of that.
True, but here's the thing. Whenever you let the state into your house, things get weird, right? And so you can have the best intentions in the world, Shannon. Things still get weird. For example, in most places in America, you needed to have an accuser to be standing trial. So if I punch you in the face, Shannon, you would have to want to press charges against me for me to be standing trial. And then in certain places in the country, we changed certain laws so that you didn't need a accuser. Meaning, if I punched you in the face, and let's say you didn't want to stand trial, you didn't want to press charges, it didn't matter if the state had enough evidence, right? This was especially true for domestic violence situations in certain states in the country. Here's the thing, though. By protecting women, in the words of some feminists, you also gave up people's civil liberties, right? So people don't know this, Shannon, but I'm pretty sure in New York City, let's say if there was like a domestic disturbance. No, I didn't say violence. I said disturbance. You can get a domestic disturbance call on you if you and your man are just arguing loud.
Yeah.
They're arguing loud. I call the police because I don't want things to escalate. I call the police. They can, without your permission, enter your home and inspect your property. So normally, in order for a law enforcement agent to go into your house, Shannon, they need a warrant, or for you to invite them in. But because of these laws we've created these loopholes where the state can supersede your constitutional rights. And so what I'm saying to you, Shannon, is as you make this therapy thing accessible to everybody in the world, okay, I'm just saying, are you going to be comfortable with allowing the state to have even more power and authority to get involved into the personal lives of American adults?
I mean, everything has a negative backlash. That could be a problem, yes, but I don't think that that's a reason to limit people's access to something that they might actually need.
But who are you to say that they need them? Someone could
accuse
you, Shannon,
I'm not saying that I need it. I'm not saying that they need it. I'm just saying if people feel like they need it, their access to it shouldn't be so limited.
Okay, so then are you rethinking your position of having therapists in schools? Because children aren't adults. They're children.
True. That's true. But I feel like if a child is, so what do you suppose children do? Which mind you, we don't have therapy in schools now, so I don't really know how this process works. But if children are in a bad home situation and they don't really see a way out of it, what do you suppose they do? Like, wouldn't it be nice for them to have a healthy outlet or somebody to talk to?
Here's the problem, audience. Shannon
or not even a bad home, I'm not even really talking about an abusive home situation. I'm just talking about a situation where it doesn't have to be abusive, but it still weighs on them mentally, not because the parents are doing anything wrong, but I don't know.
Maybe I understand.
Okay. Are you telling me to shut up then? Is that what you're saying? You're just like, shut up.
Here's what the audience has to understand about Shannon. Shannon is a wonderful woman. She has a big heart. She's a liberal, right? I think you would think you're progressive. Okay. So she wants to help people. Now, I am not any of those things, but
Oh my
but
God.
but 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 I don't want to come across as cruel when I'm trying to be practical, right? So, in theory, Shannon, everything that you're saying, your vision, it sounds wonderful, but when you put it into practice, here's the problems that you run into. What is the threshold of an abusive home? I've seen people
Mhm.
treat children in ways that I would never treat children,
Mhm.
but they don't physically hit them,
Yes.
right? I've seen people outside in the street talking to their children, hurry up, bring your ass if I punch you in the face. I'd be like, wow, that's crazy.
Mhm.
Should that child be taken out of a household if the mom
Well,
is speaking?
I'm not saying that anyone should be taken out of a household, and I'm not saying that every situation has to be a situation where where child services needs to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying that sometimes kids go through things and they feel like they can't talk to their parents about it. They feel like, and that weighs on them mentally. Like, say if a
I agree
child,
with you.
yeah.
I'm
So
just
I'm
saying
just
though,
saying
these
that,
are good.
mhm. But I'm just saying that kids should have that outlet. Like, whether it's an abusive situation or not, I just feel like kids should have an outlet in which to talk about these things.
I once again, this is what I mean. I don't want to come across as being callous.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I necessarily disagree with you, Shannon.
Yeah.
My point though is that if you're going to allow kids to have access to child therapists, which there are, by the way, to speak
Yes,
to
there are.
children about just their everyday life, and then you hear, I'm basically asking what would be the tipping point in which the state will get involved, because if you're having children come and speak to child therapists,
Mhm.
I'm assuming you would want something to happen if that therapist hears some problematic or toxic behavior. My thing though is there's no agreement on what is considered problematic or toxic behavior.
Okay.
What's problematic
I see what
to
you're
some
saying.
household is kind of status quo in another household.
What if okay, so, and again, I'm reaching, but I'm just saying this sounds like ideally what would be practical. What if like if a child goes to, let's say that there's therapy in school,
Mm-hmm.
and a child goes to therapy and they're like, I'm having this and this and this problem with my family. What if then the school therapist is allowed to maybe comp the family like a family therapy session? Like, what about that? I feel
Okay,
like,
okay. So basically, the child therapist hears something in her session or his session with the child
mhm,
that he finds to be, a little bit alarming or disturbing, and so what if then they kind of pay for or set up a session where it's like a family therapist.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay, that could work. Once again, though, here's where you get into interesting territory. Will they just say no?
I mean, yes, I mean, yes, obviously
Like,
there's always that possibility too, but I feel like
and
those
how you gonna pay for
options,
all of this, Shannon?
I don't know. You see, this is the thing. This is the thing.
It's
We
cost
definitely
money.
can't pay for it with the economy we have now, but I'm just, but it should be a thing.
Here's what I think the
And I don't
difference.
really, I just, mhm. No,
Here's
no,
what I
go ahead.
think the difference between me and you and like probably it seems your mother probably agrees with you and your father agrees with me, right?
I don't actually really know where my mother stands on
But your
therapy.
father agrees with me more than he agrees with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
Here's why. I don't think it's because me and your father are like bad men. I think it's because
No.
we have like a practical view of like the unforeseen consequences that can come up with these services. Um, the flaws of the system. Like therapy is not, and this is my biggest point. Therapy is not the end all be all of everything. It's not.
No, it's not. No
People are
one's saying it
treating it.
is.
Yes, they are. Oh my!
I'm not saying it is. I
Everyone needs a therapist. Everyone. Everyone needs a therapist.
I'm just saying that therapy can help you move through life. It can give you a different perspective on things. And I just think that I just think it overall helps.
Mm.
Obviously, it's not an end all be all to anything, but I'm just saying, I feel like it might help you move through life a little bit better.
I agree with that specific point. Now, question:
Yes.
when to your premise about how therapy is stigmatized in Black communities, What role do you think religion plays into that? You know, they say Black Americans are the most religious minority in America. Though, by
Yes,
the
they do.
way, they are in how they self-identify, but they can't be that religious. You can't be that
I think
religious with baby mamas running around the country. So go ahead, Shannon. I'm just saying.
I think that the millennial generation is less religious now. I think that religion is really big again in Gen Z. And why are you copying? I think that religion was really big and important. Gen Z and boomers, yes. And I feel like millennials are less religious now because religion is kind of crammed down our throat again by Gen Z and boomers. So I feel like that is why millennials might be less religious. All those Sundays where I was forced to go to church. Yes. So I feel like
I think that's one part. I also think, y'all just heathens.
No, that is not
I
true.
do. I think y'all are just
heathens.
Heathens.
Don't say y'all, because that insinuates me. So why don't you just say
no.
I think that's why some of y'all.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you are or not. I'm just saying. Here's my position. I think your people, you and your people, believe. No, I'm not in this. I go to church. You
okay?
I think you and your people don't like rules. You don't like being told that you can't or you shouldn't do certain things. And so religion requires, hold on, before you chop my head off, religion requires that you hold yourself to a certain standard of behavior, right?
Uh-huh.
Not having sex before marriage, turning the other cheek, honoring your mother and your father. These are rules that you give yourself that society doesn't give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't like that. You want to be out there and be free, hoeing it up, doing what you want to do, just being disrespectful. Now, I get it. Do your thing. But here's what I'm going to say, Shannon. Here's what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has a big, the lack of religious practices amongst millennials plays a big role into two things. The mental health crisis, I believe, and also all of this woke shit.
Explain. Okay, go ahead. Explain.
You want to start with the mental health stuff or the woke shit?
I mean, explain both, but start with mental health.
So, community, you get that from religion to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Let me lay out why. I hated going to church growing up. Once teenage years, I hated it. I loved the music. I used to love singing in the choir.
Mm-hmm.
I liked my church friends. You get like an entire an extension to your family if you are a regularly practicing Christian. I'm assuming it's the same thing for Muslims and whatever it is. Being religious, you get a church family. It's called a church family.
Yep.
That you get. Now, for those of you who are Catholic and you had priests playing with you when you was young, I'm sorry. No, I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sure that happens, and I apologize that you went through that. I truly do. That never happened to me, right? I only have fond memories of my pastor. Matter of fact, he used to like buy us stuff when we got good report cards. He used to read report cards in front of the church. Come in, the church will congratulate you. They do happy birthdays, angel tree drives during Christmas, Thanksgiving meals every year. There's a community that you get, Shannon.
Yeah,
y'all don't get that. Y'all at home swiping, looking for people to talk to. Talking to strangers on the internet. You cannot replace the feeling. We are a species, Shannon, that evolved to be around each other. We demand human contact. I'm not even speaking about romance or sexual, just human to human, like coming into contact with people. Your body releases different chemicals, endorphins that aren't released when you're doing this cyber stuff, right? Go ahead.
You don't only have to get that sense of community from church, though, and from religion. You get that sense of community from volunteering. You can get that sense of community from going, just like doing any other number of things. It doesn't have to specifically come from the church and religion.
Here's the problem with what you're saying. You are right in theory, Shannon. But here's the thing: religion carried with it a kind of something that you were forced into.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people are turned off by it now, because they were forced
I
into
agree,
it.
Shannon, but think about this though. How many Black people do you see doing volunteer work? Now, I was the exception. I was going down to the animal shelter a couple times a week, and that was what I call my good karma in the world. So I did that stuff because I didn't like people. So I said, well, if I do this work for these animals, then it will make up for my disrespect of humans. Now, but here's the thing, Shannon. Volunteering work, beautiful. You should go and do that stuff. School, you get a sense of community from school as well. The problem, Shannon, happens when you become an adult because work takes up time. And so when you're a student, when you're in high school, and you're in college, yeah, you have all the time in the world for volunteer work and things of that nature. Once you become an adult and you need to work, most of us full time, here's what happens. When you get home from work, Shannon, you're tired.
Yes.
And so you get to talk yourself out of the community service. But back then, back in our parents' and grandparents' time, you didn't talk yourself out of church because there was a religious charge. There was a higher meaning that superseded your tiredness. Community service does not have that. And that's why you don't see people doing that stuff.
But I also think that
just so you hate God, Shannon.
I don't hate God. I believe in God. I'm a spiritual person. I don't go to church.
By the way, that's another way of saying that she's almost an atheist, by the way. I want y'all to know that.
No, that is not saying that. I'm not an atheist. I 100% believe in God. What are you talking about?
Question. Now, if you want to speak honestly about this on the podcast, I totally get it. But let me just ask you this question.
Oh my God.
No, I'm just saying, when you say that you believe in God, but you're spiritual, what does that mean? Go ahead, explain it for those that are dumb like myself.
I believe in God. I believe that there is some form of higher power. Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe.
You don't believe in Jesus.
I didn't say I didn't believe in Jesus.
Do you believe in Jesus?
Yes. Okay.
So so why aren't
I wasn't going to church as a kid and like not believing anything that was said. I don't necessarily. Okay, so I believe in God and in Jesus. I don't necessarily believe everything written in the Bible, but I do.
So you think the Bible is bullshit?
I said everything. I said I don't believe in necessarily everything written in the Bible.
So what don't you believe?
We don't have to get into that right now. We are way on a tangent right now.
You're right. You're right.
That could be.
Yo, no, Shannon's right.
But I do believe in God and I do believe in Jesus.
But my point, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I, as a child, guess I just didn't I guess I would have rather have just been outside running around than sitting in church for 3 hours out of my Sunday. That was my association with it. Doesn't mean I don't believe in anything. I do. I just don't like going to church.
So here's why I pushed you a bit on the spirituality point. Because people who say that they believe in God, they're spiritual, they're not religious. What they're talking about, Shannon, they don't like the rules of the Bible. Like,
and that's true. And that's true.
No, go ahead.
I also, and this is also a whole nother conversation for a whole other podcast.
Totally good. Yeah,
I believe sometimes that the Christian community can be a little bit toxic. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't have to expand into that because again, we're going.
I agree with you, Shannon. I agree. What happened?
Why'd you open the door? Did you were checking to see if anyone was listening to you call the Christian?
No, my cat.
Oh, okay.
My cat. No, I agree with you. Look, I grew up in the church. I know about certain. Look, the church holds certain beliefs that I don't have. For example, I don't have, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble with some of my Christian people that listen to this. I don't have any gripes with homosexuality at all or gay people. I have no gripes with that. The trans stuff is weird for me, but that's not because I'm religious. It's more so that for other reasons.
But you know, and I'm not saying this of all religious communities because some churches are very accepting of that and some churches are absolutely not, so it's just that when that kind of behavior and I feel like that turns a lot of people off, whether you're part of the LGBT community or you're not part of the LGBT community, because people just don't want to associate themselves with a group of people who can shun out certain groups of people.
Totally agree with you, Shannon. But here's the thing, though.
Based on the Bible, which, who was it really? Anyway, continue.
I totally get it. They don't know that the Bible was written by King James, who was an actual person, by the way, who decided what went in the Bible and what did not go. There are books of the Bible that are not in the Bible, which is the craziest thing that you learn about when you get older. But the reason why I press you about being spiritual is because you hear people say that they believe in God, they're not religious, they're just spiritual. What they're saying is they don't like rules, right? When you're spiritual, you can excuse and justify any behavior that you have. You can do religion holds you to a standard of conduct that you don't get anywhere else. The world gives you, Shannon, a standard of conduct to protect civilians from each other. It does not give you a standard of conduct and how to live a moral or upstanding life. That you get from spirituality / religion, whether it's Christianity, Quran, the Torah. That's the Jewish book.
Your cat's like, I hear your cat like going crazy out there, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I opened the door, because he was demanding. Buddhism, whatever it is, your spiritual growth, you get that from doctrine. That's where you get it from. And so millennials turning away from the church, turning away from religion, I believe that has contributed to a lot of this depression and anxiety, because religion and church more specifically gives you community. I'm with you, Shannon. You can get community from other places, but guess what? Most people don't go to those places, number one. Or number two, those places suck compared to church. That's my personal opinion.
One could also argue that millennials are turning away from religion because religion tends to be very shunning. Again, if you don't fit into a certain box.
Yeah, it requires you to live your life in a certain manner. I get it.
Okay, and if people don't want to live their life that way, they shouldn't be shunned from the church. You know, God is supposed to be accepting of all.
That's definitely not true.
Okay, but that's what people like to say, and that's how people like
they're lying,
to promote.
Shannon.
Okay, but that is why people are turning away from it, because people.
I get it. Remember, we're talking about therapy. Get it? I get it.
Oh, first of all, you went way off about therapy. I don't even know how any of this.
Because you told me to expand on my 2 points. So my first point was, I think the depression and anxiety is due to the millennials' lack of participation in the church. The woke shit was the second point.
Okay, go ahead.
The church, Shannon. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay, hold on. Okay, can you hear me, Shannon?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just had to restart my GarageBand on one.
Okay.
So religion, Christianity, to be even more specific, it gives you a worldview to strive for, right? For example, I am not the most religious Christian. My favorite, growing up, we had to recite something called the Church Covenant, right? And I don't remember, it starts with having been led as we believe by the Spirit of God, to receive the Lord Jesus Christ our Savior, whatever. I don't remember the entire covenant. One line that I remember to this day is a line in a covenant that says, to be slow to take offense, but always ready for reconciliation, right? It's my favorite line in the Church Covenant that I use to structure my life. It pretty much just means don't be offended by people and always be ready to forgive and to move on. I think that's a good way to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
You get a belief system from the church. We all have a yearning, whether we listen to it or not, about why we're here. What's the purpose of all of this? What should I be doing with my life? Because for most of us, our jobs are not going to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for most of you watching this, but most of you are going to be not successful. It is statistically true. And when I say successful, I mean doing what you want to do in life. Most of us won't be granted that opportunity. Most of us are going to have jobs in which we are helping someone else achieve their dream, and
Can you hear that? Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt you. Can you hear that? Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna close my door.
Okay. She turned her camera off. I was looking forward to see how Shannon has grown since I last saw her.
Shut up! I heard you.
Oh. My bad.
My dad was snaking the bathroom's right next to my room, and my dad is snaking the shower drain, so it was very loud. So I wasn't sure.
Okay. So yeah, so like you get these things from the church as far as a worldview, answers to certain questions. Now we can argue on whether they're true or not. But I'm just saying, you get an answer. The woke stuff is eerily religious, or it's becoming religious, right? Like I've seen videos where they had white people down on one knee. This thing where you have, the country has to repent for the sin of slavery before it can be renewed to be a country for all of us. It has a religious ring to it because religion comes from man. Religion doesn't come from God. Once again, religion comes from us. We create these rules and these rituals. That comes from human beings. So if it's not coming from, so if you're not attached to a church and you're trying to live in this secular world, eventually you're going to create a new religion. I think a lot of this woke shit is just a new religion being created by millennials. That's what I believe.
I mean, I understand points of what you're saying.
You love BLM, Shannon. Go ahead.
But again, I don't even feel the need to comment on this. Well, maybe I will comment on this, but I feel like we are very off topic. I feel like
no, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, I explained that I think religion and millennials' lack of being religiously involved is the reason why they have these high rates of anxiety and depression and involved in this woke shit. So I gave my reasonings behind it. So I'm looking for you to respond. Do you buy it? Do you don't buy it?
I mean, I can kind of see what you're saying a little bit, but I disagree with you as a whole about people's lack of religion contributing to depression.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't agree.
Okay, so me and you disagree on that point.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
I feel like actually it can be argued that people's affiliation with religion and the church can contribute to their depression and anxiety. Just saying.
Oh yeah, in like specific cases.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I don't think overall that people turning away from religion is contributing to high depression and anxiety. It could be. I don't believe that that's true.
Well, okay, so just a quick clarification. It's not the turning away that I think is contributing to the
you
increase
think that
in
people's lack.
That's what I'm saying.
In their life.
Yes,
no?
Their non-involvement. So I'm not saying if you went to church growing up and you turn away, you're going to be depressed and anxious. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that growing up in an environment in which that is absent, right? You're kind of just raised in this secularized environment. I'm saying that is what is causing, because to your point, millennials are like the least religious generation ever so far. I think that contributes to this rise in depression and anxiety. I think also us growing up in these broken homes as well contributes to it, especially if you grew up in a home in which men are in and out of your life, or your parents were never married. Then you become less trustworthy about relationships, and you're always looking for things to end, and you assume that any relationship that you have is eventually going to fail. All of these things increase, this anxiety that you have and walk through the world with. Now, I have no idea what the solution is, because to your point earlier about how fast things move today and how that contributes to anxiety, the overabundance of choices that we have, how do you solve that? You can't put the internet back in the bottle.
No, you
can't. You can't do that.
I don't know exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So I don't know how we solve it. So in the meantime, while we're just living in the world where there
No.
really is no solution, I feel like it. What?
Don't go to therapy for no reason.
Anyway, as I was saying, I feel like in a fast-moving world where you might be overwhelmed, whether it be finances, work, friends, relationships, anything like that, and you're feeling overwhelmed by any or all of those things in your life, I feel like
Okay, I
therapy,
agree.
I feel like therapy can help you. And more people than not are struggling in one or all of those areas.
But don't you think, Shannon, seriously, because I joke sometimes, but I'm being very serious about this. Don't you think though that we're doing with mental health what we did with like physical health, right? So like Chris Rock has a joke in one of his stand-ups about how America doesn't cure shit anymore. They just create a way for you to live with it, which is true. I don't remember the last disease that we cured. I know we've given vaccines to help people become less sick or not catch something. I know we've created some medicines like now where if you have HIV or AIDS, you can take like this medicine and have unprotected sex and not have any risk of transferring it to your partner. But we haven't cured anything. And so I think we're doing the same thing with the mental health stuff. No one is going to look at society and examine maybe having people work 40 hours a week ain't the best idea. Maybe school should not be 8 hours. Mom, let's play around with what is causing this anxiety or depression. No, let's just send people to therapy.
I mean, yes, that's true. That's true. They're not looking for a solution. Or might I say America really is not looking for a solution, because there are other countries that don't have 40. There are countries that don't have 40-hour work weeks. There are countries where kids are not in school for 8 hours a day. So I would say that this is an American problem, honestly.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I think it's an American problem. I believe African Americans. Here's where I will agree with you. I am happy overall that mental health today, if I said, hey, I need a therapist, I'm not going to have 20 people on my ass. I've gone to therapy. I did a session. It was very interesting. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, the best way I could describe it is I felt naked. Mm-hmm. I felt naked. It was uncomfortable.
Was your therapist white or black?
My therapist was a Latina old woman.
Okay. Well, what I meant, what race was your therapist?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally get it. Yeah. Now, I don't think I would have been. Do you think that it makes a difference?
I find that Black people don't want to talk to white people about their problems. So I feel like the lack of Black therapists. I was reading that I think there's only 4% of African American therapists in America. So right. I feel like the lack of Black therapists that are available plays a part in that as well, because I feel like Black people don't want to talk to white people about their problems. Understandably so. I wouldn't want to talk to a white person about my problems either. But yeah.
But like what is the reason? Like, what problems could you have that if I was white would be unrelatable?
Just the basis of race in general is unrelatable. So
no. That's broad, Shannon. Tell me what you would tell a white therapist. I'm assuming.
Okay. Yeah. So I just feel like it's all a matter of people's comfort level, and I just feel like African Americans as a whole feel less comfortable talking about things that are going on in their lives with a white therapist. This is just something that I've seen as a whole.
But why? I'm asking you why.
That's what I'm saying, because Black people don't feel like they'll be able to relate to their problems or help them with their problems. I'm saying that's what people think. I'm not saying that that's true.
Okay.
I'm just feeling that in general, I feel like that is what people think.
Okay.
So I just feel like people feel more comfortable talking to somebody that looks like them. So, I mean, again, what was the point I was trying to make? What was I trying to say?
I don't know. I was asking you, you saying that?
Oh yeah. You were asking me if it mattered, and I was saying I think that it does matter, and like I don't know the reasoning behind that. Like, is it true that a white person won't be able to relate to whatever problems a black person brings to in therapy? It might be or it might not be. It depends on
Most
whatever
of the
you're
time.
talking to them.
Because
Yeah, I mean, it depends on whatever you're talking to them about. But I'm just saying that that's how people feel.
For most of you out there, and we did hit our hour mark, so I'm assuming that we're going to be wrapping up soon. For most of you people out there, I mean, the problems that you have are not you as an individual. The problems that you have are not really going to be these big systemic things. If you're in a therapist office, you're usually there for a reason. You know, your mom used to beat you too much, or you were molested when you was 9 or 8. Like there are like reasons that you're in the therapist's office. You know, you're stressed, anxious, whatever the reasoning is. And this is where I think identity politics, Shannon, have hurt us, where we think the life of a white person is that much different than the average black person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is the case. Most people's lives stink.
Yes, we talked about this.
Yes, most of our lives stink. Most of us, if we had to boil down what our problems are, we feel like we don't have enough money, we feel like we don't have enough time, and we feel like people don't understand us or what's going on around us. Sexual assault, that is a universal issue. Child molestation, that is a universal issue. Now, do these things happen disproportionately? Yes, they do. But these are universal. And so if you are somebody out there, because here's the thing, Shannon, convincing black people to go to a white therapist is going to put like this. It is easier to convince black people that they should see white therapists than it's going to be for us to increase the number of black therapists. That takes time. It takes, you know, a bunch of people going to school, getting degrees. It is a much more difficult problem to solve. To your point, we all playing degrees right now. So I think overall, we need to talk about these big issues regarding why people are so anxious and depressed. Shannon's point is, until we get there, we need to be promoting going to therapy because it helps. And then lower than that is convincing black people that going to a white therapist ain't the end of the world. Now, should you find a black one? Sure. If you can't, don't let the race of the person be the reason that you don't go. I think the gender might be more of a real issue than the race. Like if I'm a woman and I was like sexually assaulted, I'm probably going to be more likely to talk to a woman than a man. So that's probably more of an issue than the race part, you know, just thinking off the top of my head. But yeah, we don't disagree, Shannon. I think we just disagree regarding.
We disagree regarding reasons as to why anxiety and depression is so high amongst millennials, I think.
Yes, and I think me and you disagree with how much of a solution therapy is versus us creating a society where this many people don't feel the need to go and pay somebody to talk to. What is a strange thing that people need anyway?
Therapy? Somebody to talk to?
No, I'm saying you don't think so?
I mean, yes, but I feel like people need a healthy way to express their emotions, and I feel like people need just a way to convey their emotions, maybe like in a way that they didn't know was possible. I just feel like talking to somebody and getting a different perspective from somebody who's not going to judge you for where your information is not going to go anywhere, hopefully not supposed to, but I just feel like that helps a lot of people. That helps with communication, that helps with just problems in general that maybe you don't know how to deal with. So I just think having that resource is invaluable, really, in terms of figuring out. I lost my train of thought. I feel like having that resource is invaluable when trying to move through this complicated life, I think.
Okay. And we're going to end there.
I think, yes, we are going to end there. I think that therapy is going to be more widely accepted by people in future generations to come, just because of the leeway that we've made breaking down that stigma. It is.
I hope not.
It is. Think about how everyone talks. Think about the way mental health is talked about now. Think about the way therapy is talked about now on a wide scale. It's definitely going to trickle down, and it's going to be a thing. So
you know what? Some of y'all just need to some of y'all just need to toughen up. All right, I'm just gonna say it.
No, you see, and that's the problem. That's the problem right there. That is why. That is why people. That's
okay.
That's
Question.
Jabia. It's because you're an old soul. I think.
No, I'm
you
not.
belong up there. You belong up there with Gen X and the Boomer. Okay.
Question. Because we didn't touch this point, so let's extend this probably like an extra 10 minutes. Question. Because I forgot to bring this up.
Okay.
I also think the reason why everyone needs a therapist and is suffering from all this anxiety and depression, parenting.
Mm-hmm.
We have you've heard the term helicopter parents, or so helicopter parents are parents that constantly hover over their children and they want to make sure you know everything you're doing. So they've also created a term, Shannon, called bulldozer parents, right? So what a bulldozer parent is, it's a parent that acts as a bulldozer and pushes out all of the obstacles in front of their children so that their children don't have to deal with any uncomfortable situations. These things have also led to children not knowing how to handle adversity. Some of you people out there, you get depressed and anxious when a couple of bad things happen to you because you didn't have to practice growing up dealing with uncomfortable situations. They want safe spaces, Shannon. They want trigger warnings. I'm just saying, like, all this stuff.
This is all Jabia's opinion, and I do not agree with them.
I know. Trust me. I know. Shannon rebukes everything I'm saying right now. I'm just saying, like, some of this has to look. Bad things are going to happen to you. Mm-hmm. They are. We have to learn how to handle adversity better. I'm talking about me too. I am naturally, Shannon, a non-confrontational man. Right? I'm 6'3". I'm black. I am intimidating in stature to certain people, but I'm the least confrontational man you probably will ever meet. I don't like confrontation. I don't like dealing with confrontation. I am a de-escalator by nature. By nature. Huh?
I can agree with you on that. I also do not like confrontation.
Yeah. By nature, I am an avoider first, a de-escalator second, a runawayer third, and fourth, if forced to, deal with the problem. Those are my steps as a person. I'm not proud of it. I'm trying to change. I'm just explaining to you all how I am. I'm trying to force myself to be stronger so that I can deal with more problems. De-escalation, I think that's healthy. Avoiding, that's not healthy. Mm-hmm. So my first inclination, Shannon, is to avoid. I'm trying to change that. De-escalation, I think that's a good thing about me. I de-escalate problems. I think more people need to do that. Running away, not a good thing. That's my third step. And then back against the wall fighting. You never want to fight when your back's against the wall. If you're going to fight, do it after you attempt to de-escalate. Mm-hmm. That's what a healthy adult human being should be doing. I'm not doing that. I don't know how I got this way. I don't know if this is my natural personality. I don't know if it's how I was raised. I don't know. But I believe too many of us are like us, Shannon, and that's why we need to pay somebody to sit down and talk to us, because we don't know how to deal with everyday problems that are going to come up in our lives.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that, because I was literally about to say everything that you're saying to me right now sounds like a reason to talk to a therapist. If you don't know how to deal with the problems, or if you don't know, not necessarily you, but I'm just saying, if you have those problems and you don't know how to deal with them, or how to make it better. Yeah.
But my point is, raise children to be able to deal with those problems.
That's true, but what if you don't know how to raise children to know how to be able to deal with those problems? Another reason you should go to a therapist. Just saying. Look,
we're gonna end this here because Shannon loves therapy. I I think it is useful, but also the biggest con job since condoms. That might be the name of this episode.
I don't think that should be the name of this episode.
Biggest con jobs. No, it's not. Yeah. Look, so we're not going to always agree. We have some disagreements here. I think that's healthy. But yeah, either way, if you are dealing with the problem, I think me and Shannon can agree on this point. If you are dealing with the problem, if you feel like you are overwhelmed, then if you can afford to do so, go and find a therapist to talk to, and
hopefully therapy gets more affordable in the future.
If that happens, you're going to see less therapists. You don't think so?
I mean, probably, yes. I just wish that it could be more accessible, because by making it so inaccessible, you're saying that if people have these problems, then if they can't afford it, then you're basically saying that they have to deal with it, and some people can't. So I just feel like that's wrong, obviously.
True. I just don't want mental health to kind of take the route that regular health took, where like if you have less money, you get less qualified doctors. So
yeah,
like dealing with a lesser therapist, like I don't know what that would even mean. Like what, a therapist that is like in the school?
Probably like more like student therapists.
Yeah.
And yeah, things like that. Definitely, probably.
Look, just don't kill yourself. And yeah, I'm in it there. All right. So anything else you want to say, Shannon?
Yes. So if you want to delve more into mental health, if you feel like you want to, be that resource for someone, you can take. So I took a very helpful mental health first aid class like a year and a half ago. And it really, what?
Okay. What did you learn, Shannon?
I learned how to de-escalate situations. Like so let's say like a mentally ill person, maybe like they're schizophrenic or going through a bipolar episode. I basically learned how to identify those things and de-escalate that, not like diagnose somebody, but like de-escalate situations like that are happening. It's a very useful class. So
okay, so you should go take that class, people. I have nothing else helpful to say. I don't. Anything else I say now is going to make me more cancelable. So I want to end it there.
Promote our future episodes. You can catch our discussion of Lovecraft Country later this week, as well as our current events episode. Yes.
Lovecraft Country. Looking forward to that conversation that we're going to have about the season finale along with the entire season. Oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this show. All right. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for joining us once again, and we will see you later this week. Deuces.
Bye.